this.
Ja, was du passt! Matthias, ich was so!
We get out of here.
How can we leave?
We got a plan.
But I'm staying.
Stay for what? There's nothing here.
Go, you go. Please go.
Hey!
Run, you bastard!
The girl!
God, she wouldn't leave. Hold.
The Expendables is an adrenaline-fueled homage to 80s action cinema, following a group of elite mercenaries led by Barney Ross. They are hired to infiltrate a South American island and overthrow a ruthless dictator. However, they soon discover a deeper conspiracy involving a rogue CIA agent. Facing overwhelming odds, the team must unleash their combined firepower and tactical expertise to complete the mission and survive the onslaught.
Shot me. Is the girl still alive?
If you didn't have this Kevlar vest.
You're a lucky man.
No, you're a lucky man.
Are you a real tough guy?
Die a damn slow death. Do you understand? Loosen up.
Kid.
Everything bad out of you.
Take it all and go.
You're a puppet in a hat.
Shit, no!
Matar a este país. Egoísta.
We will kill! She's still in there!
The money! Blow it! Out of fucking building!
weapons.
Or I'll put a bullet through her. The agency passed.
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst into the explosion-filled world of a movie that basically functions as a retirement home for the toughest guys on the planet. I put a lot of work into these, so if you like what you see, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. No worries if not. We are looking at a film where the body count is higher than the logic and every handshake sounds like two tectonic plates colliding. It is a loud, sweaty, and glorious celebration of pure cinematic testosterone that reminds us why we fell in love with action movies in the first place. The story begins in the dark and murky waters off the Gulf of Aden, where a group of Somali pirates has taken a crew hostage on a massive freighter ship. The air is thick with the smell of salt and fear. We see the pirates pacing the deck with their rusty rifles, while the hostages cower in the shadows. Suddenly, there is a sound. It is not a loud sound, but a subtle mechanical hum that signals the arrival of something much more dangerous than a few guys in a skiff. This is where we meet our team. Barney Ross, played by Sylvester Stallone, is the leader of this pack of wolves. He is standing in the shadows, wearing a vest that has more pockets than a hardware store. Beside him is Lee Christmas, who is played by Jason Statham, and he is currently looking at his knives like they are his children. The team is positioned around the ship with a level of precision that makes a Swiss watch look like a pile of junk. Barney starts talking to the pirate leader, and the dialogue is dripping with that classic action movie grit. He offers them money to let the hostages go, but the pirate leader gets greedy. He wants more. He starts making demands, and you can see the vein in Barney's forehead starting to pulse. This is usually the part where a normal person would negotiate, but Barney is not a normal person. He looks at his watch and then looks at the pirate. Behind them, Gunner Jensen, played by Dolph Lundgren, is sitting with a massive sniper rifle. Gunner is a bit of a loose cannon, and you can see it in his eyes. He is twitching and looking like he's had about 12 cups of coffee and no sleep for a week. When the pirate leader threatens to kill a hostage, the situation boils over. Barney gives the signal, and the silence of the night is shattered by the deafening crack of a sniper round. It is a wet, heavy sound that echoes across the water. The action that follows is a chaotic ballet of muzzle flashes and falling bodies. Lee Christmas moves through the shadows like a ghost, and every time he flicks his wrist, a knife ends up in someone's chest with a sickening thud. The sound of the blades hitting flesh is rhythmic and brutal. Meanwhile, Hail Caesar, played by Terry Crews, is hauling around a shotgun that looks like it belongs on a tank. When he fires it, the roar is so loud it feels like it might shake the camera right off its tripod. The pirates are completely overwhelmed. They were expecting a payday, but instead they got a group of men who treat combat like a professional sport. In the middle of the chaos, Gunner decides he wants to hang a pirate, which is a bit much even for this group. Barney has to step in and stop him because there are lines you just do not cross, even when you are a mercenary. This moment sets up the tension within the team, showing that while they are killers, they still have a code, or at least Barney does. After the mission, they head back to their home base in New Orleans. The transition from the dark ocean to the neon lights and humid streets of Louisiana is striking. They hang out at a tattoo parlor owned by Tool, played by Mickey Rourke. Tool is the spiritual heart of the group, and he looks like he has lived 3 lifetimes and regretted at least 2 of them. The shop is filled with the buzzing sound of tattoo needles, which provides a constant background drone to their conversation. This is where the movie takes a breath. We see the camaraderie between the men as they ride their motorcycles through the streets. The rumble of the engines is a deep, guttural sound that vibrates in your chest. They talk about their lives, or the lack thereof. Lee Christmas is worried about his girlfriend, Lacey, who is played by Charisma Carpenter. He has been gone for a while, and he is worried she might have moved on. It is a rare moment of vulnerability for a man who can kill you with a spoon, but it grounds the character in something human. Barney gets a call for a new job. The meeting takes place in a giant empty church, which is the perfect place for a clandestine deal. This is the scene that every action fan had been waiting for, because it features a cameo from Arnold Schwarzenegger as Trench and Bruce Willis as Mr. Church. The air in the church is cold and still. Mr. Church is the one holding the purse strings, and he wants someone to take out a dictator on a small island called Vilena. Trench and Barney have a history, and the banter between them is legendary. They trade barbs about their ages and their past missions. Trench eventually passes on the job saying he is busy, and Barney takes it because he needs the work, or maybe he just needs the noise of a gunfight to feel alive. Mr. Church gives them the details, and the mission is set. They are going to Vilena to see if the target is worth the trouble.
Barney and Lee Christmas take a scouting trip to the island pretending to be wildlife photographers. They fly in on their old seaplane, which looks like it is held together by duct tape and prayers. The sound of the twin props is a rhythmic chugging that fills the cabin. When they land, they are met by their contact, a woman named Sandra, who is played by Giselle Iti. She is the daughter of the local dictator, General Garza. This adds a layer of complexity to the mission. They are not just there to kill a guy, they are there to help a rebellion. As they drive through the island, we see the poverty and the oppression. The soldiers are everywhere, and they look like they are looking for an excuse to cause trouble. Sandra takes them to a local village where they see the cruelty of Garza's regime. The sounds of the villagers being harassed and the cold laughter of the soldiers create a sense of unease. The scouting mission quickly goes sideways when they are spotted by the local military. A car chase ensues through the narrow streets of the island town. The sound of tires screeching on dirt and the crashing of wooden stalls creates a frantic energy. Barney and Lee manage to get back to their plane, but they are followed to the docks. This is one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. As the plane starts to taxi on the water, Lee Christmas climbs out onto the nose of the plane. The wind is whipping his clothes and the roar of the engine is deafening. He has a flare gun and he is ready to use it. Barney turns the plane around and flies low over the docks. He starts dumping fuel everywhere and the smell of gasoline is overpowering, even through the screen. Lee fires the flare and the entire dock explodes in a massive wall of fire. The whoosh of the flames and the booming explosion are incredible. It is a middle finger to the dictator and a sign that the Expendables are not to be trifled with. Back in the States, Barney is conflicted. He knows the mission is a setup. He finds out that the real villain isn't just General Garza, but a former CIA agent named James Monroe, played by Eric Roberts. Monroe is the one pulling the strings, using Garza as a puppet to run a massive drug operation. Barney realizes that Sandra is in grave danger because she stayed behind to help her people. He sits in the tattoo parlor and talks to Toole, who gives a heartbreaking monologue about a girl he couldn't save during a war. Mickey Rourke delivers this with so much raw emotion that you almost forget you are watching a movie about guys blowing things up. The sound of his voice is gravelly and full of pain. This conversation is what pushes Barney to go back. He can't leave Sandra behind to die. He decides to go back alone because he doesn't want to get his friends killed on a suicide mission.
Of course, his friends are not going to let him go alone. As Barney is preparing his plane, the rest of the team shows up. The sound of their motorcycles approaching is like a thunderclap. Lee Christmas, Yin Yang, played by Jet Li, Hail Caesar, and Toll Road, played by Randy Couture, are all there. They are a brotherhood, and they go where the leader goes. There is a sense of grim determination as they load up their gear. The metallic clicking of magazines being slammed into rifles and the zipping of tactical vests create a symphony of preparation. They know what they are walking into, and they are ready for it. Before they leave, there is a confrontation with Gunner, who has betrayed the team and joined Monroe because of his drug addiction and ego. This leads to a high-speed chase under a bridge where Barney and Gunner face off. The sound of the cars smashing into each other is visceral, and the final standoff ends with Gunner being shot. It is a sad moment because Gunner was once one of them, but it shows that in this world, betrayal has a heavy price. The team arrives back at Vilena under the cover of darkness. They approach the palace, which is a massive fortress surrounded by soldiers. The tension is palpable. They move through the jungle with a predatory grace. The sounds of the night insects are suddenly interrupted by the silent thuds of their weapons taking out sentries. They manage to infiltrate the palace basement where Sandra is being held and tortured. The sound of the dripping water and the echoes of her screams in the damp stone hallways make the scene feel claustrophobic. Barney and the team burst in, and the rescue mission begins. This is where the movie turns the volume up to 11. The final battle is a masterclass in action choreography and pyrotechnics. The team splits up to cause maximum chaos. Yin Yang and Barney find themselves in a fight against Monroe's main henchman, the massive Brit, played by Gary Daniels. The fight is fast and brutal. The sound of the kicks and punches landing is like wood being snapped. Jet Li uses his speed to navigate the tight space, while Barney uses his raw power. Meanwhile, Hail Caesar finds himself in the middle of a courtyard, surrounded by soldiers. He finally gets to use his automatic shotgun, and the results are devastating. The sound of that gun is a rhythmic thumping that sounds more like a jackhammer than a firearm. Every shot creates a cloud of dust and debris as the palace walls are literally shredded. The explosions in the final act are constant. The team has planted C4 all over the palace grounds. When they start detonating, the ground shakes and the screen is filled with orange and yellow fire. The sound of the explosions is a series of rolling thunders that never seem to end. You can almost feel the heat radiating off the screen. Toll Road gets into a fight with a man-mountain played by Steve Austin. They are both former wrestlers, so the fight feels like a heavyweight bout. They are crashing through walls and slamming each other onto concrete floors. The sound of their bodies hitting the ground is heavy and dull. Toll Road eventually uses a bit of fire to win the fight, which is a nice touch of irony for a guy who is usually the calmest one in the group. In the midst of the carnage, General Garza realizes that Monroe has been using him. He tries to assert his authority, but Monroe is a shark. Monroe kills Garza in cold blood, and the sound of the gunshot is sharp and final. Now it is just the Expendables against Monroe and his remaining mercenaries. The palace is crumbling around them. The sound of falling stone and shattering glass adds to the chaos. Barney chases Monroe through the burning ruins. The air is thick with smoke, making it hard to breathe or see. They reach the helipad where Monroe's escape helicopter is waiting. The sound of the rotors spinning up is a high-pitched whine that cuts through the roar of the fires. The final confrontation between Barney and Monroe is intense. Monroe is holding Sandra hostage, and he thinks he has the upper hand. He is mocking Barney, talking about how they are both the same. But Barney isn't there for a philosophical debate. He is there to finish the job. With a coordinated effort from Lee Christmas, Barney manages to distract Monroe. Lee throws a knife with pinpoint accuracy, and the sound of it whistling through the air is almost musical before it hits its mark. Barney then unleashes a barrage of bullets that sends Monroe backwards. The villain's fall is accompanied by one last massive explosion that levels the helipad. The silence that follows is deafening. The ringing in your ears after such a loud sequence is a testament to the scale of the battle. The sun begins to rise over the smoking ruins of the palace. The team gathers together, tired, bloody, but alive. They have saved Sandra, and they have taken down the corrupt regime. The villagers come out of their homes, and there is a sense of cautious hope in the air. The sound of people cheering and the soft morning breeze provide a sharp contrast to the violence of the night. Barney looks at Sandra, and there is a quiet moment of understanding between them. He didn't do it for the money or the glory. He did it because it was the right thing to do. They head back to their plane, and the sound of the engine starting up feels like a victory lap.
Back in New Orleans, the atmosphere is much lighter. They are back at Toole's tattoo parlor, and the mood is celebratory. Even Gunner is there, patched up and seeking redemption. Barney has forgiven him, because that is what brothers do. They are laughing and drinking, and the sound of their voices is full of life. Lee Christmas goes to see Lacey, and he finds out that her new boyfriend was abusive. Lee handles the situation with his usual style, which involves a lot of broken bones and a very clear message to never touch her again. The sound of that fight is quick and satisfying, like a door slamming shut on a bad chapter. The movie ends with the team riding their bikes into the sunset. The roar of the motorcycles is the final sound we hear, a chorus of metal and power that defines who they are. They are the Expendables, and while the world might not know their names, they know the impact they leave behind. It is rare to see such a collection of legends in one place, and the film makes the most of every second they are on screen. The choreography of the fights is a mix of old-school brawling and modern tactical movements. Every punch feels like it has weight behind it, and every bullet seems to have a destination. The way the cameras capture the muzzle flashes and the flying debris makes you feel like you are right in the middle of the gunfight. The sound design is particularly impressive, with each weapon having its own distinct personality. The high-pitched crack of a handgun, the deep boom of a shotgun, and the rhythmic chatter of a submachine gun all blend together into a chaotic but controlled symphony of destruction. The characters themselves are archetypes, but they are played with such charisma that you cannot help but root for them. Barney Ross is the weary leader, carrying the weight of his choices. Lee Christmas is the loyal second-in-command, whose speed and precision are unmatched. Yin Yang provides the technical skill and martial arts flair, while Hail Caesar and Toll Road provide the heavy support and muscle. Even the villains are perfectly cast. Eric Roberts plays Monroe with a slimy corporate arrogance that makes his eventual downfall all the more satisfying. David Zayas as General Garza shows the tragedy of a man who sold his soul for power and realized too late that he was just a pawn. The pacing of the movie is relentless. From the opening pirate raid to the final palace siege, there is very little downtime. When the movie does slow down, it is to build character or set the stakes. The scouting mission on the island is a great example of building tension before the inevitable explosion of violence. The chemistry between Stallone and Statham is the highlight of the film. Their banter feels natural and earned, like two people who have spent way too much time together in dangerous situations. They finish each other's sentences and anticipate each other's moves in a way that only true partners can.
The visual style of the movie is gritty and grounded. The colors are often muted, with lots of grays, greens, and browns, which makes the bright oranges and reds of the explosions pop even more. The use of practical effects over excessive CGI gives the action a tactile feel that is missing from many modern blockbusters. When something blows up in this movie, you can tell it was a real pyrotechnic charge and not just a digital asset. The debris is real, the smoke is real, and the reactions of the actors are real. This commitment to physical filmmaking is what gives the movie its heart. The supporting cast also gets their moments to shine. Terry Crews has a presence that demands attention, and his use of the AA-12 shotgun is one of the most memorable parts of the entire film. Every time he pulls that trigger, you know something spectacular is about to happen. Jet Li's martial arts sequences are fluid and fast, providing a nice contrast to the heavy-hitting styles of the others. Randy Couture's wrestling background is put to good use in his grappling matches, showing a different side of combat than just shooting and stabbing. The emotional core of the movie surprisingly comes from Mickey Rourke's character. His monologue about his time in Bosnia is the quietest moment in the film, but it is also the most powerful. It gives a glimpse into the trauma that these men carry with them and why they continue to do what they do. They are not just mindless killers, they are men who have lost pieces of themselves along the way and are trying to find a way to live with what is left. This depth makes the action feel more meaningful. They are not just fighting for a paycheck, they are fighting for their own sense of humanity. The movie also serves as a celebration of the genre itself. It is full of nods to the action classics of the 80s and 90s. The presence of Schwarzenegger and Willis is the ultimate fan service, but it is handled in a way that feels organic to the story. The dialogue is punchy and full of one-liners that are destined to be quoted. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it never feels like a parody. It knows exactly what it is, and it delivers on its promise of high-octane entertainment. Looking back at the final battle, the scale is truly impressive. The way the team uses their different skills to take down an entire army is a masterclass in tactical action. The underground tunnels provide a dark and claustrophobic setting for some of the most intense close-quarters combat, while the open courtyard allows for the massive scale of the shotgun and C4 to be fully realized. The editing is fast but never confusing, allowing the viewer to follow the flow of the battle across multiple locations within the palace. The music also plays a huge role in setting the tone. The score is driving and heroic, with a heavy emphasis on percussion and brass. It builds the anticipation during the stealth sequences and explodes during the action scenes. It matches the energy of the film perfectly, never letting the audience catch their breath for too long. The sound of the motorcycles at the end of the film, accompanied by the rocking soundtrack, provides a sense of closure and triumph that leaves you wanting more. In the end, the movie is about brotherhood and redemption. These men are expendable by name, but they are invaluable to each other. They have created their own family in the midst of war, and that bond is unbreakable. The mission to Vilena was never just about a target. It was about proving that they still had a soul. They chose to risk everything for a girl they didn't know and a cause that wasn't theirs, because that is what heroes do, even if they don't like the word. The final shots of them riding through New Orleans are a reminder that no matter how dark the world gets, there will always be people willing to step into the shadows to fight the monsters. This film stands as a testament to a specific era of filmmaking and a specific type of hero. It reminds us that there is something inherently satisfying about seeing the good guys win through sheer force of will and a whole lot of gunpowder. It is a movie that embraces its flaws and celebrates its strengths. It is loud, it is messy, and it is unapologetically fun. For anyone who grew up watching these actors on posters and VHS tapes, this movie is a dream come true. It is a gathering of the giants, and they do not disappoint. The legacy of the film is seen in how it revitalized the careers of its stars and launched a franchise that would continue to bring together action icons. It proved that there was still a massive audience for practical stunts and R-rated action. The success of the movie paved the way for more ensemble pieces where the focus is on the chemistry and the combat. It remains a high point in the careers of everyone involved, a moment where everything clicked into place to create something truly special. As the credits roll, you are left with the feeling of having been on a wild ride. The ringing in your ears and the adrenaline in your veins are the markers of a great action experience. You have seen the best in the business do what they do best, and it was glorious.
The Expendables is more than just a movie. It is an event, a tribute, and a blast from start to finish. It captures the essence of what it means to be an action star, and it delivers it with a punch that you can feel in your bones. In a world of complex cinematic universes and complicated plots, there is something refreshing about a story that is simple and direct. Good guys go in, bad guys get what is coming to them, and everyone goes home with a story to tell. It is a formula that has worked for decades, and this movie is the ultimate expression of that formula. It respects its audience, and it respects its genre. It is a celebration of the craft of action, and it is a movie that will be remembered for its heart, its humor, and its incredible amount of property damage. The sheer volume of fire and metal in the final sequence is something that sticks with you. You remember the way the light reflected off the knives, the way the ground shook when the shotgun fired, and the way the fire lit up the night sky. These sensory details are what make the movie immersive. You aren't just watching a fight, you are experiencing it. The crunch of the gravel underfoot, the heat of the flames, and the metallic taste of adrenaline are all part of the journey. Barney Ross, sitting in his plane, looking out over the ocean at the end of the movie, is a powerful image. He is a man who has seen the worst of humanity, and yet he still chooses to fight. He is tired, but he is not broken. He knows that there will always be another mission, another dictator, and another reason to load his gun. But for now, he has his friends, he has his bike, and he has his code. That is enough for a man like him. It is enough for us too. The movie leaves us with a sense of satisfaction. The villains were truly despicable, and their ends were earned. The heroes were flawed, but they stood up when it mattered. The action was top tier, and the humor was perfectly timed. It is a film that knows exactly how to manipulate the audience's emotions and expectations to create a perfect popcorn experience. You leave the theater or turn off the screen with a smile on your face and a little more appreciation for the art of the explosion. It is a film that reminds us that even when things seem hopeless, there are always people who will stand in the gap. They might be rough around the edges, and they might have a dark past, but their actions speak louder than their words. The Expendables might be men who are considered throwaway by the government, but to the people they save, they are legends. And to the audience, they are the ultimate reminder of why we love the movies. In the final reflection of the journey, we see a group of men who have faced their inner demons and external enemies with equal courage. The sacrifice they were willing to make for one another and for a cause greater than themselves is the true heart of the narrative. It shows us that heroism is not about being perfect, but about showing up when the world is at its darkest. Their ultimate success is not just in the destruction of their enemies, but in the preservation of their own integrity and the hope they brought to the oppressed. These characters remind us that strength is found in unity and that the bonds of brotherhood can withstand any storm. As they ride off together, we are left with a powerful thought on the value of loyalty and the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting challenges. The Expendables is a spectacular explosion of classic action that brings together the biggest names in the genre for a high-stakes thrill ride. It is special because it honors the history of action movies while delivering modern thrills that keep you on the edge of your seat. What do you think is the most iconic moment in the film, and which action legend stole the show for you? Regardless of the answer, the film remains a definitive high point for fans of the genre.